But because we've been so wrapped up into what's happening with the Kings this year and that playoff series against the Warriors, we haven't even gotten to the NFL draft and what the Raiders and 49ers did. So
That's crazy.
Yeah, I know.
You realize how crazy that is?
Well,
no, I mean, like in any other year. Because in any other year, I'd look back at us not talking about the draft for like a full week and be like, we didn't do our jobs. We simply did not do our jobs.
I'm a draft nerd.
But this year, I think we made the right call. I think waiting until now to get around to the draft
very confident.
was absolutely the right call.
Very confident we made the right decision. But so let's go over this for a few minutes, and we'll get right back to your reaction on the Kings and how you would look back at this season and anything else that you've got for us. So the Raiders, they drafted Tyree Wilson, edge, with their first pick. That was 7th overall. Then they came back with Michael Mayer from Notre Dame, tight end. They moved up to get him at 35. And then they had Byron Young in the 3rd round, defensive tackle, Trey Tucker in the 3rd round, wide receiver. I won't go through all of the picks because that's going to glaze your eyes over. But here's Dave Ziegler, the GM of the Raiders, talking about their draft.
Started to, you unfortunately, when you go through the draft, you're not able to answer every question that you need, as you work through it, just the way that the draft goes. There's 31 other teams that are selecting players too. And so we did do that at certain spots. I think there's some areas of the team that we're going to continue to look to address and improve and add competition. But, I think definitely on the defensive line, we added some competition there. At the safety position, at the receiver position, that we added some competition there. We obviously added a tight end, but we still have some other areas of the team that we need to continue to grow and continue to work at, which that'll kind of be the next phase that we're getting into now is, looking at those areas, looking at what the other available players are and see if there's other ways that we can improve the team.
Any thoughts on their draft?
I'm pretty upfront, Nick. I'm pretty transparent. This is one of those subjects where I kind of defer to experts. And no, I'm not just gonna be like, what did you think, Nick? Because you said you're a drafter. No, I mean, after a draft happens, I go and I read the experts' analysis and grades and everything else and kind of defer to what they say. And most people seem to like this Raiders draft. I said beforehand that taking the best player available, I don't think they can really go wrong because it was just a team and a roster that had so many needs. They needed an edge rusher. They went and got one in the 1st round. A lot of people, Nick, and you're not just a draft nerd, but a Notre Dame fan, really like the tight end out of Notre Dame and think that was good value right there.
Love the Michael Mayer pick.
So I'm kind of, again, deferring to the experts and saying that it was a solid draft for the Raiders.
Yeah, to me, look, I love Michael Mayer. I think that was a great pick in the 2nd round. You obviously traded Darren Waller, so now you have Jacoby Myers filling that slot role, and then now you have Mayer. I think Mayer has 1st-round talent. He's not an electric athlete, which is why he probably fell to the 2nd round, but he's got great hands, can go down the seam, can be a boundary guy, also willing to block, which is nice. He's a red zone target, so I think Raiders fans will love him. Tyree Wilson, their first pick, is more of a traits guy. He didn't necessarily have all of the production, but he's athletic, and his frame, he's like a freak. There are a few reaches by the Raiders, but that happens with a draft that's not as deep, and this draft was seen as not as deep of a draft. I was surprised they didn't draft offensive line at all. Kind of surprising to me. Not one offensive lineman. Not surprising,
especially after they did the offensive line shuffle all year last year.
Yeah, not surprised that 6 of their 9 picks were on defense. And Aiden O'Connell is a young quarterback they drafted in the 4th round. So it'll be interesting to see how he develops. Meanwhile, the Niners, they had to wait until like day 3 because of all the trades they've made in the last couple of years. Their first pick was Jair Brown, who is a safety from Penn State. They moved up to get him at 87. They then drafted a kicker, Jake Moody from Michigan, in the 3rd round, number 99 overall. And then they drafted Cameron Latu, who's a tight end out of Alabama, late in the 3rd round as well. So those were their 3 top picks. Here was John Lynch on his team's draft.
Not ideal circumstances, not draft until 99. I have to keep telling myself in the 2nd round, all right, we got Christian McCaffrey in the 3rd round. That's Christian McCaffrey. In the 4th round, that's Christian McCaffrey. And next year in the 5th, that's Christian McCaffrey too. But then to be able to add, with the 9 players, I think they all have, we always talk about to draft a player, you better have a vision for exactly what we expect this player to be and what is our plan to allow him to be that. And I thought we did a great job as a group collectively of having that vision for each and every player, and we made ourselves a better football team this weekend.
Just a couple thoughts from me, Ramie, before I get to you and what you think of this draft. They didn't draft an offensive tackle, which is interesting, right? Very interesting. McGlinchey leaves as a free agent. Looks like they're very, very,
Trent Williams ain't getting younger. Remember when the season ended and he did? I mean, it was the sting of a loss and a guy who was reflecting. But remember when the season ended, he said he wasn't even sure if he was coming back next year. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's probably something that's going to run through his head every year from here on out.
They're apparently very confident, McKivitz, in his ability to fill in for McGlinchey on the right side. When you take a kicker in the third round, he better be really good. They better hit with Jake
in
Moody.
The top 100.
Yeah,
in the top 100
because Christian McCaffrey. Well, yeah, I mean Jake Moody round 3 better be a great kicker.
Not to mention you just pushed a pretty good one out in Robbie Gould.
I did like a couple late round flyers. D. Winters, linebacker, TCU. He should have gone before he went to San Fran. That was a good pick. And I also like Ronnie Bell, wide receiver out of Michigan. Saw him play a bunch of times. I like him. I'm not telling you he's going to be great, but I think he's got a chance to make the team. Late round flyer. I like those two picks.
A couple of draft breakdowns that I read really liked the edge rusher out of Georgia that they took in the 5th round, that Robert Beal Jr.
Yeah.
4.49 40 at the combine. And I know 40s aren't everything, but they described him as a guy who's like, he's a niche player. He's a pass rusher, strictly a pass rusher. And when he can pin his ears back and do that, he can be pretty good at it. And you throw in, Nick, the fact that he's going to be in a rotation of pass rushers. He's not going to be a guy who's going to be asked to go out there. You're talking about young, fresh legs in a rotation that's athletic and explosive enough to run a 4.49 40. That looks like a guy that could be a steal. And even though I just said, I just defer to experts when it comes to the draft, a lot of experts, I'm looking at the Athletic right now, and they ranked every draft class. They have the 49ers as 32nd, the worst in the league. But how many drafts have experts not liked over the last few years for the 49ers, and all they do is just keep churning out homegrown players? They go out and make the trades too, but I don't know that you could put a lot of stock in what experts say about 49ers drafts, because they panned out pretty well here of late.
Ward reacting to your Beal breakdown and chats in. So you're saying he has a motor?
Yes, motor guy. Big motor guy. Yes, high motor guy.
Got a couple of hard hat guys in there, I'm sure. A couple lunch pails.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right, let's get back to the Kings. There's your draft thoughts, Niners, Raiders. What is the biggest positive that you take away from this season? We'll give you our answers and then get to yours next.